Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a full face of MAC. I've been planning for this video for a few weeks. I actually placed a pretty big MAC order a few weeks ago. They were doing 25% off the website and I bought some things I didn't already have. And we're going to do a full face of MAC today. I've never done a full face of MAC before on my channel. So that is today's video. If you are new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on YouTube. I hope you'll subscribe and stick around if you haven't already. And let's get into the video. All right, we're gonna start with a primer. I almost skipped primer, but I figured while I was on the website, I would try one out. So I got the Studio Radiance Primer, Moisturizing and Illuminating Silky Primer. So this has a lot of claims. Let me get the box. So the box says instant all day soothing hydration for plumper looking skin, instant and all day improvement in radiance and luminosity for a healthy dewy glow, smooths and softens skin with no greasy residue, creates a smooth canvas, improves application and laydown of makeup, does not clog pores, does not cause acne. Silky, fast absorbing formula leaves a cushiony feeling on the skin. So they got a lot of claims here on the box. So let's see. So it's just like a basic tube. It's just like a plastic tube with a pump. I did already do my SPF today, so I've already done that. But this, okay, so it looks kind of like a lotion when you pump it out, but then when you blend it in, it's even more thin. Oh, it does feel a little bit silky. Kind of feels like a gel and a cream, but a really, really thin one that's very smooth. Does have a smell. I don't really know what the smell is. It's not a really strong smell, but it definitely has like some kind of fragrance in it. All right, let's move into foundation. So we're gonna use the MAC Studio Radiance Serum Powered Foundation today. I already had one of these in this shade, which is NC17, but this is just not a good shade for me. It's too dark, it's too warm. Even when I have self-tan on, I don't really love this shade. So I did get a new shade because I like the formula and I knew that shade was going to be hard to work with. So I did get a new one and I got the shade N12 this time. And I think this is going to be a better shade for me. So fingers crossed that it is. So this formula I have used before. It is a pretty thin, like serum-y texture. I think they call it a medium coverage. I don't know that I would even call this a medium coverage, to be honest. I think it's light medium. You might be able to build it up to like a lighter medium coverage, but when I've used this, I found it to be pretty light coverage. I do wish it had just like a little bit more, but it is a really pretty serum texture. If you like that serum-y feel, you would probably really like this one, but it doesn't have a ton of coverage if that's what you're looking for, but it's very hydrating on the skin. It's really pretty. Actually, I think this shade match is going to be good, but you can see like my skin still really shows through that I just put on. So it doesn't have a ton of coverage, so if that's what you're looking for, you probably wouldn't love this. But if you have dry skin, this would probably be your friend because it is very, very hydrating. And it's gonna look probably even more hydrating today because we have that primer underneath. But it feels really, really nice on the skin. Because here, like you can still see my skin peeking through it, which is not a big deal, but I just like to point that out. If you're looking for more coverage, you're probably not going to get it with this one. I'm going to go in and add a little bit more, but I still find that even when you build this one up, you still are getting like a very light medium coverage. I do like this shade though. The shade is very good if you're around my skin tone. This one is good for my natural skin tone. I don't have any self-tan on right now, so N12 is a good match for me. Okay, so there it is on my skin. It's very, very, very pretty. Very hydrating. You can see the glow. There's not any like shimmer or pearlescence to it. It has a lot of hydration. It's that serum texture, which kind of gives it that glowier look on your skin, but it's very pretty. Not a ton of coverage though, if that's what you're looking for, but I do like the look of it, and the shade is much better than the one that I had. So I am gonna apply a little bit of color corrector. I think MAC had at one point a color corrector, like a palette of color correctors. I don't remember seeing them on the website when I was on there, but I wonder if I missed it. I don't know. But if you know me, you know I don't skip color corrector. So we're gonna use this one. This is Bobbi Brown's Skin Corrector. I actually really wish that MAC would release a standalone color corrector, maybe like a liquid color corrector, because I feel like they would do that really, really well, but they have not yet. Maybe they will one day. Let's move into concealer. I did get a MAC concealer. This is the Studio Fix 24 Hour Smooth Wear Concealer. I got the shade NC22, and I did get this out when I first got it and swatched it. And it was a little bit light to me, but hopefully once it blends in, it'll be okay. So that's NW22. And I think this shade was described as light with a neutral beige undertone, I want to say. So that sounded pretty good, but it's definitely a little bit lighter than I was hoping it was going to be, but hopefully it will work. It has like the MAC smell, if you know what I mean. You know, like almost has like a paint smell. This has that smell. Yeah, like that kind of, I feel like MAC makeup, a lot of it smells like that. The complexion products, I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up, but I feel like it does. Okay, I am gonna blend with my Sigma F03. This is definitely, or it feels at least, like a lighter coverage concealer as well. It's very thin, almost kind of has the same texture as the foundation. It has like that serum-y texture, and it spreads quite a bit, but I would say definitely on the lighter coverage side. It's a little bit sheer, not sheer, but you can just tell, like even in the swatch right here, it has coverage, but it's, I would say, like a lighter medium coverage, kind of like the foundation, honestly. So once it's blended out, the shade is not terrible. I definitely think if I had any self-tan on and I went any darker with a foundation or a skin tint, it would be a little bit light for that. But for my natural skin tone, it's not terrible. So the concealer looks pretty good. It's, once I blend it in with this foundation, it's an okay shade for me. I still wish it was just like a little bit darker, but not terrible. And I don't know, the coverage is not great on that concealer. It's very like a light medium at the most. It's very thin. It doesn't have a lot of pigment. So it feels nice. It's a nice texture, but honestly, it reminds me of the foundation. It's just a concealer. But I mean, it doesn't look bad. I don't know that it's my favorite concealer that I've ever tried. Definitely doesn't look heavy, but I do wish it had just like a little bit more coverage, and I wish the shade was a little bit darker. I do find MAC shades overall very tricky. I feel like I'm typically decent at picking shades, and I still feel like MAC, it's just hard to find the right one. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I know they do the whole NC and W, and they're opposites to what you would normally think, but then they make like N's just on their own. Like this foundation is just an N, and then they make just C's. I don't know. I do think their shades can be a little bit confusing. Okay, moving into powder. The reason I'm doing powder next is because we have a powder bronzer. So I kind of want to lightly set my face before we do that. And I did get the MAC Studio Fix Pro Set and Blur powder. Now, I will confess, I have already tried this one time and I was not a huge fan of it. So I'm a little bit scared to use it again. I don't know, and maybe it was the brush that I used. I don't know, but I tried to apply it just kind of like sheerly all over my face, and it kind of clung in certain areas and looked really heavy, like very thick on my skin. And I don't know, maybe it was just user error or the wrong brush. I don't know. So I'm going to use a different brush this time, but this is what it looks like. It has a little sifter thing in it. I think this is a relatively new product for MAC, I think. And I have the shade Light. It does also come with a little powder puff that we might use in a minute. But I'm going to use this brush this time because this brush has been working well for me, this Smashbox brush, or it's the sheer powder brush. So we're going to try this again. I think maybe the brush I used last time was a little too dense. And so it didn't, I don't know, I got maybe too much powder on the brush. I'm not sure. But we're going to try it with this brush this time. So I'm getting like a really thin layer of it in the cap and just kind of tapping it off. And then I'm just going to lightly tap this on. Yeah, I don't know. I did not like it the first time I used it. So maybe it was the brush, because the brush can make a big difference. And I'm just kind of tapping this on because I don't want to move anything we already have on. Okay, this definitely looks a lot better this time. Does not look nearly as thick on my skin as it looked before. I don't know that I think it's a super smoothing powder. My skin definitely doesn't look as glowy as it looked before, but I don't think it's a super smoothing powder, but it doesn't look heavy like it did the first time I tried it. So I'm thinking with this one, unless you want a lot of powder, use a very fluffy brush like this, unless you're looking for a lot of intensity. But it looks better this time, so I'm happy about that because I was really disappointed when I tried it the first time. But I kind of want to use a little bit under the eyes, I kind of brought that powder a little bit under the eyes, but not much at all. So I'm taking my concealer brush and just kind of going over my under eyes, and then I think I'm gonna try using their little puff here and hope for the best and just lightly set my under eyes with a little bit of powder because I do want to see what I think of it under my eyes. So I'm gonna get it under the, or not under the puff, on the puff, and kind of tap off the excess because we don't want too much powder. And just tap it on. Okay, that looks nice. Yeah, so maybe the key with this powder is you don't want to apply more than you need. Definitely not, because I think that must have been the issue that I had. I wish this puff was a triangle puff instead of the round puff, but I guess that wouldn't fit in the component. Okay. So I applied just a little bit of that powder. All right, definitely looks way better today. Okay, I did get a bronzer. So this is their new Skin Finish Sunstruck Matte Bronzer in the shade Medium Matte Rosy. I don't know why I got the medium tone, but I did. So hopefully this is okay. So it looks like this. I haven't seen too many reviews on these. I know these have been out for a little while, but they're definitely not like an old product. So that is Medium Rosy. I do sometimes like rosy tones in bronzer, so that's it right there. I like rosy tones sometimes because they look very realistic on my skin tone at least. Because usually when I do get, you know, some actual sun from the sun, it turns, or it has more of like a red undertone. A lot of bronzers that look, or they have a lot of yellow in them, on my skin tone, they just don't look super natural, you know? So I'm just applying this with my Refer number 5 brush, which is my favorite bronzer brush. Powder bronzer brush, I should say. Okay, so I was worried that this color might be a little bit dark, but actually I don't think it is. The undertone of this bronzer kind of reminds me of the Gucci bronzer in shade number 1. That's kind of what this is reminding me of. I want to say when I ordered these, there are ones that are not matte. They're more of like a luminous finish, I think. But this shade, or this one that I got, is the matte version. The formula feels really, really smooth when you swatch it. It has a very like fine feeling formula. I think it's very finely milled. I like this so far. The packaging feels very cheap though. I wish the packaging felt a little bit better, but that's just me. All right, now I ordered a blush, but I also have another blush and I'm trying to decide which one I want to use. So I ordered the Mineralize blush, Mineralize Skin Finish blush in the shade Warm Soul. Warm Soul, which I think this is like a classic MAC shade, I think. I have heard or seen some things online that said that this shade looks different now than it used to look. I don't know, because I didn't try the older version, but that is the shade Warm Soul right there on the top. This is the bronzer down here. So it kind of looks similar to the bronzer, honestly. But I also have another one. Let me grab it. Okay, so if you watched my New York City haul, I showed this blush. This is the Glow Play blush from MAC. And this is the new version or formula. I don't know if it's been reformulated, but they re-released these. I have this shade Blush Please, which is a really, really pretty color. So I kind of want to use this maybe, but look how pretty this color is. I love this shade. It's a nude, but it has like a rosy, almost like a rosy, slightly mauve-y nude. So that's it right there. How pretty is that color? Yeah, I think we have to use this. I used to have the shade So Natural a long time ago, and mine eventually kind of dried out and I ended up getting rid of it, but I did like it when I had it. Don't really know what the best brush is to use with this. I think I might try this BK Beauty 109 and see how that goes. I kind of tapped off the excess on my hand, so I can't remember when I had this before what I used, like what brush I used, because I definitely used a brush, but I can't really remember what I used. I think you can also use your fingers with this formula if I remember right. I do like this tone though. Such a pretty blush color if you like the kind of colors that I like. Really pretty. Yeah, so you don't have to be super careful with this formula. I'm remembering this now. It's not crazy, crazy pigmented, but Blush Please is very pretty. If you've never used these before, they kind of feel like a putty texture almost when you swatch them. But then they go on and look kind of like a powder, but kind of like a cream. It's very interesting, different formula. Okay, for brows, I did get the MAC Brow Gel, the newer one. I didn't get a brow pencil, but I didn't get a brow pencil because I made a little MAC quad. So it looks like this. I have another MAC palette that I made. It's a 6-pan, but I wanted to make this little like 4-pan palette. But I'm wondering if I could maybe use these 2 shades for my brows. So I might try this because if you've been watching my videos for a little while, you know that I love brow powders recently. That's just kind of been my thing. And I really want to see if these colors would work. I think this shade was Omega and then Brune, maybe, I think are the two shades that I have. So I'm gonna try it and just see. I can't tell if Omega is gonna be enough or the right undertone, but maybe it will be, I don't know. I'm gonna try this color first. I was gonna use Brune, but I think that might be too dark. I actually got this little palette, so this 4-pan palette at a cosmetics company store. So if you're ever wanting to make your own MAC palette, I would go to a cosmetics company store if you can. Because when I got this one, all of the palettes were 75% off. So this was like $4, maybe $5. I think Omega works by itself. Let me look up close. Yeah, looks pretty good actually. I was afraid maybe it might be too warm, but I think it's okay. I just thought if I had a little palette like this that I could use for my eyes and for my brows if I was traveling or something, it would be really nice. So that's kind of how I chose these colors, other than the sparkly shade in here. But we'll probably use that in a minute on my eyes. And I'm using this Sigma E75 brush for this. Actually, yeah, I don't think it looks too bad in my brows. I was afraid that was gonna go all wrong, but I don't hate that. Okay, that was the shade Omega, by the way. Now, let's use this new Pro Locked brow gel. I think this is definitely a new product for them. I think they had a brow gel before. Oh, this is an interesting wand. What is that? It's very interesting. It's like a little brush. It looks like a little paddle almost with little teeth on it. Okay, that's interesting. I haven't heard any review at all on this brow gel, so I don't know anything about it. Doesn't feel like super tacky in my brows, so we'll have to see if it like dries down, because right now it feels pretty wet in my brows. Doesn't feel like it has a super strong hold, but maybe it will kind of dry down. I don't know. All right, moving into eyes. I did also get a paint pot. So I've tried MAC paint pots before. I've used Painterly and Soft Ochre, but I also got the Groundwork paint pot. This has always been one I've been curious about. It just always, the color always really appealed to me. Yeah, so that's a really pretty color. So that is Groundwork. It's kind of like a cooler taupey brown. I guess I'll use the paint pot just as a base, but I'm gonna apply it pretty lightly because I want the eyes. I don't want to do too much and then can't really use the palette. Let's use this brush, the Refer 01. I'm not applying much of this at all because I want to use the other shadows, but it is pretty on its own. It's been a while since I used a fresh paint pot. My paint pot that I have in Painterly is really old, and they definitely don't feel the same when they start to get on the older side. This one feels so nice and creamy. It's a really pretty one and done shadow, honestly. Love that. Let's move into my little palette here. I'm trying to remember my colors. I'm pretty sure it's Omega, Honey Lust, Brune, and Brulee, maybe? I should probably look that up. Hold on. Yes, I just looked back in my order history. So it is Brulee, Omega, Brune, and Honey Lust. And Honey Lust I actually found in store at a cosmetics company store as well. I got it when I got this little 4-pan palette. So make sure you're looking when you're at a cosmetics company store, because sometimes you can find the single shadows and the palettes for like 75% off. All right, let's use Omega. So this shade here. I'm gonna use the Refer 15. And I'm gonna put that in the crease. So the shade is gonna look a little bit darker just because we have that groundwork underneath, but that shade on its own is on the lighter side. It would be a really light kind of taupey transition shade for me. All right, this is a MAC 217, but I'm gonna take a little bit of Brulee, which is right here. It's the lightest one. This one's kind of like a cream color, and I'm just gonna take that right in this inner corner of my lid, just to kind of brighten that up right there, just a little bit. Doesn't do a ton, but it does add just a little bit of brightness right here. Then I'm gonna take Honey Lust, which looks like that. It's kind of like a rose gold shade. And I'm gonna tap that all over the lid, but mainly kind of in the center out. Then I'm gonna take my blending brush and the Brulee color, which is the lighter shade, and just kind of go over the edge here, just so everything looks nice and seamless. I really like actually these colors that I picked. I really wanted to make like the perfect travel palette that I could take when I go somewhere. If I just want to take like a small little quad, that would do pretty much anything for me. That's what I was going for with this. All right, now I want to use Brune, but I also have a MAC eyeliner. So this is the Eye Kohl in the shade Teddy. I have owned this before, but it's been a long time. But this is like a reddish brown pencil. Something that has always happened to my MAC pencils though, and I want to know if it's just me, but whenever I push my cap down, I don't know if I'm pushing it down too far or what, but usually my cap ends up cracking. That's what's happened to me in the past, so hoping that doesn't happen again. But I'll swatch Teddy for you. You're probably familiar with Teddy because it's very, very well known, but that is it there. It's just kind of a reddish, bronzy brown. So I'm gonna use this, and then we may use Brune over the top maybe. I don't know, we'll see. All right, so I'm going in with Teddy on the outer half of the lash line because I don't like going too far in on my eye shape. And then I'm gonna take a small brush. I'm gonna use the 208. That's the one I have out here, and I'm going to create a little tiny wing. That was a bigger wing than I was wanting. Oops. I'm gonna take the brush we used for the paint pot, actually, the BK Beauty 206, and just kind of go over the little wing, and that will kind of tone it down a little because I don't want a big wing. I'm also gonna take that liner in the waterline as well. I can't remember back when I owned this before if I used to use it in the waterline or not, but we're gonna try it. And then I think I will take a little bit of Brune in the palette right here, so this one, and I'm gonna use this little brush. This is a Refer 29. It's like the tiniest little flat edge brush. I'm just gonna kind of stamp over that liner. When I got this palette, or when I picked that shade for this palette, I was thinking I would use it for like a liner, but just using an eyeshadow. But since we have the Teddy liner too, I wanted to use both. But I think most of the time I would probably just use this on its own as liner. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of Omega again on a little pencil brush. This one is from Refer. This is the number 3. And I'm just putting this under my eyes. But I really love this shade of Omega. It's like almost like a natural kind of like shadow kind of color. I really like it. Let's move into mascara. I did get the MAC Stack mascara, but I got it in the new color, which is Chestnut. So excited that they made this in brown. I feel a lot of brands are starting to make brown mascaras now, which I'm very happy about. I love a brown mascara. I have tried the MAC Stack mascara before, back when it came out. Remember when this was like the mascara and it was sold out everywhere? And I remember liking it. It was very dramatic mascara from what I remember. My lashes are very, very long right now. I've been using a new lash serum, and it's one that has taken a while for me to notice a result, but I'm finally starting to see a result and I'm very happy about it. It's the one from Swede. They sent it to me a while ago and I used it, probably been using it for about 6 weeks or so maybe. And it does work, it just takes a while. Very intense mascara. I remember now, this kind of reminded me of YSL Lash Clash. This brown is definitely like a darker brown. It's not like a true brown. It looks like it would be kind of, but it's not. It's definitely more of a like black brown. I find that so often with brown mascaras that they look like black brown, not true brown, but they call them brown. I don't know. I wish more brands would make like an actual brown. Wow. I mean, that looks even better than I remember. Even better than I remember it looking. Definitely it looks like a black brown though. So if you get this thinking it's gonna be brown, it's really not. It's black brown. They named it Chestnut, and this is definitely not a chestnut. This is a black brown, but it looks fantastic. I mean, tons of length and volume. I ordered a new MAC lip pencil. I owned this a long time ago in the shade Whirl, and I don't know, I guess I decluttered it at some point, but I do not know why I did that. Because I used to love Whirl. In fact, Whirl, I'm almost positive, was the first lip liner I ever bought. Like ever. When I first started getting into makeup, I love the tone of it. Oh, why did I get rid of this? I love this color. All right, I did not order a MAC lipstick. I ordered a lip gloss that we'll use in a second, but I already have some of the lipsticks. And let's see, I have Modesty, which I love. Very, very pretty pink. It's one of the cream sheens. I also have Honey Love. And then I'm just gonna swatch all of them real quick. I have Creme de Nude, which Creme de Nude I bought at a TJ Maxx and I didn't realize how like sheer it was. So I can't really use that one on its own. And then I have Thanks It's MAC. Okay, so we have Thanks It's MAC, Modesty, Honey Love, and Creme de Nude up there. Maybe we'll use Honey Love and then go over it with the gloss that I ordered. Okay, I don't want any more color than that, I don't think. Honey Love looks pretty with Whirl. And then the lip glass that I ordered is the shade Oh Baby. And yeah, so this is like a really pretty gold gloss with shimmer in it. I saw Alexa Chan here on YouTube, and she's on Instagram also, using this. And it looks so pretty. So there's the lip, and then one final thing, I did get the Fix Plus. This is the new version, the Stay Over alcohol-free, long-lasting setting spray. So we'll use this. I have not used this one before. I've used the original MAC spray, but not this one. The mister definitely better on this than the original. All right, so this is the finished look. What do you think? I gotta say, I like how it came out overall, but I gotta say, I'm not super blown away by a lot of these products like I thought that I was going to be, and not to say that they look bad. I don't know. Most of what I used I thought was good, but nothing like stood out to me as like this great new product I can't wait to like add to my makeup routine. Do you know what I mean? So let's just kind of go through this stuff really quick. Primer. Primer is nice. It's a moisturizing primer. It's basically a moisturizer. So do you need this? No, especially not if you are using a really moisturizing SPF underneath. This is kind of a pointless step, maybe unless you have just really dry skin and you want to really prep before you go in with foundation, but I mean, it's fine. I'll keep testing it and using it, but nothing special about it. The foundation is nice. I had used this before. Happy that I bought a shade that works a little bit better for me than the one that I had. I like this foundation. It's not in my top foundations though. I just did a top 10 foundations video. This was not in that video. Even in the correct shade, I like it, but I don't love it. Like there's nothing super special about it. I do wish it had a little bit more coverage. I think it's not a super easy foundation to build up in terms of the coverage. I do find that it lays the best on my skin when I just kind of do one layer on it, or one layer of it. I don't know, the serum texture doesn't layer up super well on my skin at least. So I don't know, it's nice, but I'm not like blown away by it. I think it's somewhat similar to like the Makeup Forever Hydra Glow, the HD Skin. I like that one much better. That one gives you a glow, but it lays a little bit better on my skin. It gives just a little bit more coverage too. So I don't know. This one, it's fine, but I'm not blown away by it. The concealer, I kind of feel the same way. It's a nice thinner concealer. It has a really nice hydrating finish and texture. It feels similar to the foundation, like I was said earlier. Doesn't give a ton of coverage though. It is fine. I mean, it's fine. I feel like that's kind of the theme of this video, is it's fine, but not a lot of like, oh wow, like this is great. You know what I mean? What else did we try? Okay, the powder. The powder, like I said earlier, I had tried previously. I liked it much better today, and I think it was the brush that I used. So with this one, I would say less is more. If you go in with a lot of this powder, it's a little bit cakey looking in my opinion. So I would go in with less and use a very sheer, fluffy brush, like something like this, unless you want a lot of impact from the powder. I don't know. I'll keep using it. It looks pretty good under my eyes, I will say, so far. I did use the puff that it comes with, and I mean, I blotted off a lot of the powder, so I used just a little bit, but so far it does look good under my eyes. So there's that. Now, the bronzer I do like. This is one of the things I like the most. I like this bronzer, especially in this color, the rosy tone, medium rosy. I really like the undertone, and I like the finish on this. It's a really nice matte bronzer. It was relatively easy to apply, and I enjoyed this. So this is one of the more standout products, but again, it's not standout in the sense that I think it's like better than a lot of the other things that I already have. Now, this blush, very, very pretty. The Glow Play in Blush Please. I love this blush color. I mean, like, I love this blush color so much. It's not super pigmented. So, you know, if that's what you're looking for, you're not going to get that with these. I'm actually just kind of tapping some more on with my finger. It applied pretty well with this BK Beauty 109 brush, but they're definitely on the sheer side and they definitely have some glow. So if you're not into that, you probably wouldn't love this, but I do like this. So I like the blush and the bronzer. Brow gel, they feel in place now. When I applied this earlier, they didn't feel like they had a lot of hold, or the gel didn't feel like it had a lot of hold. They definitely have set down now. I'll see throughout the day if they stay in place, but I don't love this applicator. I don't know what that is, but it's just a very odd applicator. I don't know. Not a huge deal, but I'm not a big fan of it. I do really like my little quad that I made, I will say. I mean, yes, these are very basic colors, but this is a Blair quad, you know? This is the kind of thing that I like. This is what I use. And I actually do like Omega in my brows, which is very nice to know. I can travel with this and use this for eyes and brows, which is really nice. And this is just a little neutral quad I just wanted to have in my collection, but I do really like that. Teddy liner, I've used this in the past and I loved it. I don't remember using it in the waterline though, so I want to see if it transfers down throughout the day because I did apply it in the waterline this time. It applied well. I love the color of Teddy, so that's nice. MAC Stack mascara, this is a great mascara if you want impact. A lot of length, a lot of volume, but I would probably say more length if I had to pick. Brown, it looks black, so just keep that in mind. The chestnut color, it's a black brown, so maybe a little bit less intense than black, but not a true brown. But I do love how it looks in my lashes, I have to say. I don't remember about the wear on this from when I tried it before, so I'll have to let you know, but I do like how it looks. And then the lip, Whirl lip liner. This I'm very happy to have back in my collection. I love the color, and yeah, this is a classic for a reason. I'm happy to have that again. And then this lip gloss is very, very pretty. I love the shimmer in it. I don't have a gloss like this with this amount of shimmer in it, but I do think it's pretty. And then very happy that Fix Plus now has a better mister. The old mister would like spray really intensely at you. This is a much more fine mister, which I like much better. So I'm happy about that. But that is everything. I hope you enjoyed this full face of MAC. If there is another brand you'd like to see me do a full face of, leave it in the comments. I would love to know what you'd like to see. But thank you for watching. All the products I use will be listed below in the description box and in YouTube shopping. If you use my links, I do make a commission that supports this channel. So thank you so much. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe and follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you again very soon. Remember, simply be you.